Are you RGB crazy? Well, technically not everyone's RGB crazy, but do you want your case or your computer, like you just built, and you want to have some RGB flair to it? Well, we've got you covered here, because we've got the Vegas TLY, and this is by Akasa, and then we've also got the Vegas TLX, and that's by Akasa, and we've also got Vegas RAM, mate. You alright, mate? Vegas RAM, mate. So if you've got 4 modules, or even like one, you can buy these individually or in a pack of 4. You can have your RAM that's RGB. So we've got a ballistic RAM here. This is DDR4. We're going to take this apart and then stick the RAM module on there. We've got all the adhesives there to keep it nice and cool. This is all in there. A clip, I guess, to obviously wedge it open. A couple of screws that are in there, and also a screwdriver as well. So give you a miniature screwdriver with the thermal pads on there to keep everything all good. And also you get the Akasa Vegas RAM, mate. You're alright, mate. You get that with you. And obviously this is where it lights up RGB, and it's kind of through a diffused bit of plastic, and it's pretty cool. And you've got a couple of screws there to undo it, and then you've got a 5-volt cable, so make sure that it's not a 12-volt motherboard that you've got. And then we've got a VDG cable as well, which can also be plugged into the motherboard and connected up. So that's that. And you also get this cable as well, which is another VDG, and also a converter for a 5-volt connector. And we've also got RGB addressable, so we've got 1.1 to 3 connectors here for addressable RGB. So this is especially for RGB, and that means that I can connect these up via addressable RGB motherboard, or like these are addressable fans and stuff, or LEDs, and then connect that to the motherboard and have them all addressable. Anyway, we've got an addressable RGB LED splitter, so you don't have enough room. You've got one connector that goes into one and then splits off into 2, or actually, if you've got 2 fans, you can plug them in and then obviously use that into the one header of the motherboard. And then addressable RGB LED splitter extension cable. In fact, yeah, we should really talk how long it really is, because with all of these cables, they're normally quite short, to be honest with you. So that's how long it is. So it's about, I'll say it's about 50 centimeters in length. They're not bad. And this is for the 5-volt as well. And in the box with the Vegas TLX, you get a DC connector, and then you get the connector that you can connect loads of these RGB fans together and then run them off of one. We are going to check a bit of wind flow, of how much wind flow you get out of these. These actual blades feel thicker, they don't feel very sharp, and I don't know how well they're going to do with the airflow test. We've got shock absorption, rubber bits on there as well to keep the fan from not making noise and any vibrations. It's on both sides, already stuck on there. The cable is kind of see-through though for the DC cable. It would be nice if they were black. And what I do not like whenever I get Akasa fans is it's still got these old school silver fans. We need to get rid of these and then just paint them black, so they go with everything else that's black in the case. It's more like neutral and stuff, and makes more sense. And you also get the cables as well. So if you don't have an RGB motherboard and you want the RGB to light up, you can use this. And this will give it power through Molex connector, and you connect it up like that and connect it to the fan. We'll do all of this anyway in a demonstration. Same for the 140. This is the 140 version. It's quite a huge fan, to be honest with you. Still got exactly the same thing, DC cable see-through, and another connector as well for the RGB, for the fans, for the dual-sided connector. And it all comes with the same cables as what it does with the 120. 140 is a TLY and the 120 is a TLX, and they're both adjustable fans. I was wondering what the hell was actually different from them, and then I looked at the speeds. So the 120 is at 1500 rotations per minute, whereas the 140 is 1200 rotations a minute. They're both front bearing, and then the one that's 120 is 23.8 decibels, so that's how loud it should be. So if you've got quite a few of them, that shouldn't be that loud. That's not too bad actually. I think that's at top speed as well. So we'll obviously test that out. Well, anyway, let's just put it all together and see what we get with it. I think I'm gonna start off with the fan first. I'm just gonna move this, not the fan first, sorry. I'm gonna start off with the RAM first. I do have 4 modules, but I'm only gonna use 1. And I've got the Ballistics Elite DDR4 by Crucial. And I'm just gonna put this together. Take this one apart and see how easy it is, because that's the whole point. If you get these little modules, you want to know how easy it is to put together to be able to have RGB. So first off, I'm going to get the little instructions manual out, because I ain't got a clue how to do this. It looks pretty self-explanatory, to be honest with you. Right, so this is the instructions, so it's pretty straightforward. That it doesn't work on its own by just slotting obviously the RAM in there, because the RAM's non-RGB. But basically it comes with a cable, so you can use a 4-pin 5-volt cable or a 3-pin 5-volt cable. And the clips, what are they, sort of VLP RAM height? Not too sure what the hell that is even about. But let's go ahead and let's go and try and do this. So let's take this RAM stick apart. So you need to get yourself an actual screwdriver that fits, because that screwdriver only fits this one, but it doesn't fit my RAM if you need that. So I'm just going to undo my RAM. Turn it over, do the other side. Move this to the side where it's a little bit safer. God, these are tiny. Let's get this one undone as well. So as you can see, I've dismantled my RAM stick so I can get the RAM out, and all the modules are still in contact, so that's a good thing. It was quite hard. It was stuck down through the thermal compound and a little bit of glue to it, it felt like. But now it's time to obviously put this together to good use, to see if this actually works. So what we're going to do, we're going to get this down to right towards the bottom end to keep the modules cool on the RAM. As you can see, I clearly have attempted this beforehand and it was a little bit confusing, but now I've got it all in hand. I know what I'm doing now. So I'm going to chop that little bit off the edge when I've finished with it, and then this one needs to go right to the end as well. Actually, the modules are quite low down, so I had to have this quite low down. And then I put my bracket on onto the holes, and there's a little slot here, and then that glides into that bit there. And then the lights will shine through at the bottom. Then I'll grab my memory, give it a little blow, and then I'll stick it right here. And then I get my other side and line it up. So that's cool. And then I just got to screw this down now. As you can see, my RAM modules are going to be cool. So that's cool. I like that. Cool, cool, cool. And then all I have to do is just cut off that excess bit here. I'll just pull it off, and I'll just put it off. But I suggest you cut it with like a little Stanley knife, and you can make this look nicer as well. But this is ready to go into the RGB, well, so ready to go in the RAM slot, and then obviously use the RGB connector. So let's test this out quickly. So we got the Akasa fans all like lit up, as well as the RGB RAM in there as well. I would say that I've tested the actual fans, and it moves averagely. So I wouldn't say that it moves like a high performance fan, but as you can hear, quite near enough like decent sound coming from it, so no high decibels and everything like that. And they look aesthetically pleasing. At the moment it doesn't, it's got cables coming out everywhere, and it does come with like 2 cables sprouting from each side of the RGB spectrum, and then the cable going to one single cable, and then obviously you've got your DC cable as well, which is a bit annoying. I would like to see a PWM involved in one of these cables, all braided into a nice black cable, making it more simple for use. I've used a couple of extensions from another company so I could just get the fans in there, because obviously I've got other fans in the computer case, and taking it all apart and everything and putting these fans in there's not enough fans and all this. It's all a bit of a mission, but anyway, it works really well. It looks really nice, and from my point of view, the addressable RGBs are really quite sick. They're really bright, and it's got a nice diffuse light against it, and even the RAM, they're all synced together. It just looks pretty nice. I do like it. So if you're in the market for some RGB fans and RGB RAM, and you don't mind obviously taking your RAM apart, then look no further than Akasa for this, because Akasa does a lot of good things and they've been in the game for years, but I've never seen RGB like obviously RAM sticks that you can take apart. But what I do not like about it, which they can't really help, is the fact that if your RAM's not RGB, you can't really just put your RAM in there without obviously having a cable connected to RGB. So you've got to make sure that you've got enough literal spots to obviously put your RGB connectors. As you can see, I've got 2 fans and obviously an RGB stick as well. And there's another 3 RGB sticks that I've got if I was to take them all apart and have it all going. Leave me your comments down below and tell me what you think about the RGB fans. Would you purchase them? Is it a bit annoying because there's too much cable mess, or is the cable mess okay because all you need to do is just kind of hide it and obviously do cable management? What do you think about the RGB slot and putting it together? Was it quite simple? Was it not? Would you actually purchase this? Leave your comments down below. And you all have a great day. Oh, before you go, you need to subscribe, share, like, follow me on all social media platforms, and yeah, that's about it. If you've got any other questions, leave them in the comments down below. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you soon. Roger and out.